Welcome to another episode of the Hope Athletics Orange and Blue podcast. My name is Alan Babbitt, Sports Information Director here at Hope College, where we believe intercollegiate sport is a powerful vehicle for education and personal development. The mission of Hope Athletics is to promote and provide programs defined by academic success, competitive excellence, and transformational experiences. Conversations with members of the Orange and Blue family spotlight their experiences with the Hope Athletics mission. And this week is a special week across the country as it is NCAA Division III week. And we certainly have a lot to celebrate with Division III and the model it provides for Hope College athletics. I have an esteemed guest with me, a junior, Nick Wever, member of the Hope College men's basketball coaching staff this season and a former junior varsity player as well for 2 years. Welcome to the Orange and Blue podcast, Nick.
Thank you.
It is certainly obviously a busy time. In April, we just finished the national championship game on the D1 side for Michigan. Flying Dutchmen, your team, made a run to the NCAA Tournament, winning another MIAA title. How would you describe what March Madness is like?
That's a great question. I've been watching March Madness since the day I came out of the womb, and it's an awesome time for a basketball fan like me. And being able to experience it from the D3 side too has been really interesting. It's obviously not to the scale of the Division I side, but for those who really love it, like myself, it was an absolute honor to go to lacrosse this year and kind of battle with them and feel the tournament vibe out. As somebody that has loved the tournament for so long, it's such a cool experience, and it's obviously so fun to witness the madness everywhere. So it's good.
You talked, obviously, came out of the womb with as a basketball fan. Was that something your family was big hoops? How did the love of basketball really start and grow?
Yeah, I think my parents just got me into all sorts of sports when I was young, whether it be soccer, or basketball, or golf. I kind of just dabbled in all three, and it was an easy way for me to make friends, which was a good thing, especially at a young age. And I think first it was kind of soccer. That was the big one for me that kind of took over, and I played it for a long time, and I thought I was going to probably take off with that. And then middle school kind of rolled around and had some things come up, and I really just fell out of love with it, and basketball kind of came to the forefront. And I started to be able to shoot the ball a little bit, and I saw some shots go in, and from then on I just continued with basketball and fell in love with it.
What is it about the game that makes for a good teacher? How does it help you grow as a young man as you went through high school? And I should probably stop and ask where you grew up.
Yeah. I'm from Marysville, Ohio, just a small suburb outside of Columbus. And I'd say basketball it's been so beneficial for me because I've been able to work on many different teams and lead a bunch of different teams. And I think the best part about it is that it's not always easy. I think it comes with a lot of challenges, but those sorts of challenges bring and reap better rewards in the long run. And I think I've been able to see that. I think for a couple years in high school, I was a part of the varsity team, and I was a captain on that team. And we really struggled. We weren't the greatest team. I wasn't a great leader, to be quite honest. Yeah. And I think it's kind of been a complete 180 since I've come here, being able to kind of experience all aspects of the program, from being on the JV team for a couple of years, leading them, and to now being a part of the coaching staff with the varsity team, and being able to win a championship. It kind of shows how all the hard work and a lot of seasons stacked up on top of each other can really pay off.
Obviously, you made the transition from playing to coaching. Obviously, it was probably tough to give up the game as a player, but then to find a way to another outlet for basketball. What has that meant? What has that meant to you to be able to continue to be, in the game and right in the middle of all the action?
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't the easiest this past fall to kind of have to hang it up, but it's been a great year. I've been very pleasantly surprised at how much I've enjoyed diving into more of the coaching aspects. Being a part of the varsity team too has been great. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't easy to watch practice every day from the sidelines and not be able to dive in, but I think during games my presence is felt, and I think I'm much more of an impact than I would have been if I would have been maybe towards the end of the bench, if that makes sense, and have a bit of a bigger voice, which I've appreciated.
With coaching, is that something you thought about that you would be doing as as a career or being involved in some way, or is that something that's developed?
Yeah, I was actually texting former student assistant Jaleel Williams the last night, and I just was talking to him, and I'm like, I can't not see coaching in the future for me, so I think it almost was a little bit of a blessing in disguise last fall to kind of have to hang it up and throw myself in the fire a little bit and coach and learn how to navigate personalities and all this different stuff and see the behind the scenes stuff with the big coaches.
Yeah. What have you learned that maybe you didn't know about coaching that goes into it from when you're coming from a player? You get scouting reports, you get worked on skill drills and those different things, but coming from it from this angle, what have you learned about the game and kind of what goes in to prepare student athletes to be at their best on the court?
Absolutely. I think just being able to be around three such knowledgeable guys in Kling, KG, and Mitch, there's just so much work that goes into our season and winning championships. You gotta juggle a lot of personalities. You have to relentlessly watch film, figure out what lineups work best here. It's a very quick moving sort of thing, especially when game time rolls around. And I think those three rely on each other a lot, and they do a great job, especially with Bond and I's help too. It's fun, but it's strenuous, and I don't think people understand that all the time. They just want to look at the record and not all the behind the scenes.
Well, this team and this program under their leadership has shown remarkable resiliency. Like now this year it went down to the final week to win the regular season, but a knack for winning MIAA tournament titles. What have you seen as far as how they have been able to work to have this team playing at a really high level when it matters most at the end of the season, when you get into one and done mode?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Mitch talks about it all the time. Like, we just have to be playing our best basketball during that conference tournament week, knowing that the last couple seasons we've had to win and get in. And I think the players understand that, and that's a good kind of reciprocal relationship there on understanding what to do and what's at stake. And I think everybody rises to the occasion at Hope. I think that's just a thing with our teams. You've seen it over the past couple of years. It's just like when the tournament rolls around, like it's go time, and they understand that, and that's a large part to the coaches.
And then I imagine there's a trust that has to be built. That's not something you can necessarily just say, okay, yep, we're going to do. Talk about what you've seen as far as relationship building within the team structure, within coaching, and with other things that I know extend beyond the court that kind of help build that trust when you really need to rely on each other come March Madness and tournament time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I love the guys. We all gel for the most part. I mean, we're a great team. I think that's probably the biggest thing that's separated like the teams I've been on here at Hope from maybe teams in the past is just the sense of wanting to show up in practice and see other guys' faces and know that we're in for a long grind today on a Wednesday in February, but there's nobody I'd rather be on this grind with than you guys. And I think it's part of the Hope community as a whole that helps with that, and just the type of kids that we recruit and come to Hope. But I think just the team specifically is just gelled through that naturally.
We're obviously sitting here in the classroom outside DeVos Fieldhouse. That place comes alive when you guys play and the women's team plays as well. From your perspective on the bench, how would you describe what it's like? We get a close game and you feel the energy come from the crowd.
It's an absolute blessing. I was in here 30 minutes ago just shooting around, and you just kind of take it for granted sometimes when you walk up to the H Club to do film, or you're walking around the concourse and you're stunned that this is a D3 facility. I mean, we are the luckiest team in Division III to be able to experience this place, to practice here. It's awesome. And like you said, when the crowd comes out and those couple Calvin games really start to fire up, it gets loud, and there's nothing like it. That's why you come here, and it's awesome.
Now, did you know about the rivalry? I mean, obviously a guy from Columbus, Ohio, coming to Michigan, obviously the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry is first and foremost, but how did you learn about Hope College?
Yeah, that's a great question. My uncle is actually the head of admissions here, Nate Haveman. So he kind of connected to me, and then I've had a lot of extended family come here. Both my parents went to Michigan State, but basically everybody else on my mom's side came to Hope. and I'd obviously had the in with Nate. And then Kevin Wolma came down and recruited me a little bit, and kind of we had dinner and stuff, which was great. And once I had found out about Hope, probably freshman, sophomore year of high school, I started to dig into it a little bit, like a basketball junkie like myself would, and find out like, oh, this is really that serious. Like, this is pretty sweet. And I think from then on, it was always an intriguing place for me to be.
Did you know that on average, about 1/4 of students enrolled at NCAA Division III member schools participate in varsity athletics? This week, Hope College and the Michigan Intercollegiate Athletic Association are joining more than 420 Division III schools and 42 conferences in the nationwide celebration of NCAA Division III Week. We are proud of our student athletes who excel both in the classroom and in athletic competition while demonstrating leadership, community service, and campus involvement. Learn more about Division III Week at ncaa.org/D3. At Hope College, we believe intercollegiate sport is a powerful vehicle for education and personal development. The mission of Hope Athletics is to promote and provide programs defined by academic success, competitive excellence, and transformational experiences. The Orange and Blue Fund exists to support this mission. Each year, more than 500 students participate in Hope athletic programs. Our student athletes and teacher coaches are passionate about using sport, academics, and service to shape their time at Hope College. Support the Orange and Blue Fund today. Give at athletics.hope.edu. Where did it go from research, and you obviously know some people and you have an idea what it's like, to that decision of, yep, this is the place for me? Because that's a challenge when you're a high school junior and senior, like, okay, where do I want to invest in my next 4 years? What for you made that decision where, yep, I need to come to Hope too?
Yeah, I think it was two things. I think it was, one, obviously when you visit, you kind of just know it's the place for you. And then I'll never forget, I think Kevin Wolma driving from Hudsonville to my house on a Friday to sit down and eat dinner with my family and I, and bringing a Bowerman's pie, stuff like that. It's just like, where else am I going to get that? Like, I know I'm not going to go get that in an 150-person lecture hall at Michigan State, where I thought I may have wanted to go, and I'm not sure any other college around here, Division III, is even remotely going to those lengths to do that for somebody. And I thought that was such a powerful gesture. And from then on, I think those two things say it pretty well.
Yeah, Bowerman's, for anyone listening, if you haven't had a Bowerman's pie yet, put it on your
Absolutely.
to-do list. And it seems like that was a foreshadowing of the investment in people. And it's something that I've watched and experienced, whether it's from the coaches or administration or other staff on campus or professors, that they're really pouring into you. How did you see that as you started to come here and see that it's not just a Kevin Wolma or a Greg Mitchell, that it's the whole campus that tries to really invest in you?
Yeah, I think that probably starts from the top with the leadership. I think President Scogan is 1A of how to lead powerfully and with hope.
Yeah.
And I think that's just kind of boiled down through the athletics department, all these other different types of people that play such a big role, the admissions office, just even regular workers, physical plant, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just everybody, it's just a different vibe, and people want to be here. Mm-hmm. They want to show up to work. They want to pour into others, and that starts from President Scogan, I'd say, and all the unbelievable resources we have around us.
What I haven't been talking for a while. I haven't asked, what are you studying?
Oh, yeah. I'm a business major with a leadership minor.
Okay.
And I've been really enjoying it. Leadership minor is great. I've been able to take some good classes that have bumped me out of my shell a little bit. Mm-hmm. And the business major is something I feel like is pretty versatile. I'm not quite sure what I want to do yet. Obviously, I hope some coaching's in my future, but I think the business side of the world is pretty versatile, and connections are important to me, and I think that's a good way to sort of step into that over the next couple of years.
I know an exciting time for the business office. Now you will graduate by the time
Yes.
it's completed, but the investment in, and I know the people there as well. What have you experience from the business department that's kind of helped you prepare you, here and, when you graduate a year from now or so?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think I've had a lot of professors that have been there in the business world, which I think is important for somebody my age. It's not really just a professor spitting back information at you. It's more of a professor's like, hey, this happened to me when I was doing this at X company 20, 30 years ago. And I can tell you about this experience because I've lived it. For example, like my marketing professor, Professor Raybon, has been everywhere in the world doing everything. And it's so fun to listen to him talk in class just about different stories and ways he's had to navigate situations in the business world that actually are applicable and I could run into in the future.
Is that something you knew when you came here, business was an area that you wanted to start exploring right away, or is that something you found here during your early, maybe first or maybe second semester?
Yeah, I had thought about, possibly going down the education pathway, and I think I was thrown into a Ed 200 course my freshman year fall semester, and I was, what's the word? It's like I was shadowing or something at Pine Creek Elementary, 3rd grade, and I'm like, whoa. This is probably not for me. And then I think business had always been in the back of my mind, and it's been fairly versatile, like I've said before. And it's easy to kind of go down that pathway and open up some different connections when you may not really know what quite you want to pinpoint your life on yet. So I think that was kind of why I maybe leaned that way.
Is your family, or you talked about your parents, were they, are one of them or both of them in the business world, or do they have totally different?
My dad jokes often, he's a mechanical engineer in Columbus, but he jokes often that if he could do it over again, he'd probably be a business major and do something along those lines. So we joke about that a lot. But my mom is a teacher, and she's been teaching for a while now, and she enjoys that 5th and 6th grade, so it's good.
I should shout out your mom and dad's names. We should give them credit.
Rebecca and Ben Wever. Yeah, they're great.
Did they meet at Michigan State?
They did.
Okay.
Funny enough, they met in the dish room doing dishes as a job on the weeknight. So that's funny little story there.
No, that is awesome. Yeah. And that's kind of leads me to the next question. Sometimes you just never know what the right place is going to open for you. Obviously for them, Michigan State was the right place, and they met each other and have gone on, raised a family. And then I know Hope tries to get those different experiences too. Just talk about some of the other things that you've been experienced outside of basketball and outside of the classroom that have helped you grow here as a student at Hope.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the C trip is, it changed my life. That trip is awesome. It's just a way to go interact, meet new people outside maybe your sport bubble, if you will. And I've been able to gain a ton of different friends from that trip, be infected by God's love in so many different ways, and just be able to support. I went to the Dominican Republic and be able to fill water filters, paint houses, do all this sort of stuff for them. And what I realized at the end, and what a lot of us had realized, is you actually get more out of it for yourself than you thought you would. And it's a blessing to be able to do that and just be able to experience that, because there's nowhere else in the nation you can go on a trip for that cheap and be impacted as much as I've been in my entire life, to be quite honest.
And I forgot, where did your C trip? There's a couple, they go to different places.
Dominican Republic.
Dominican Republic,
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Had you ever traveled outside the United States at all?
Yeah, honestly, I've been very lucky to have traveled to quite a few places. I've been to Costa Rica and Europe, but I had never been to the Dominican Republic, and it was eye-opening for sure. Puts life into perspective a lot.
Yeah.
Went back feeling very blessed and still feel very blessed, just to know that, you got to put your life in perspective a lot. And I think that trip in particular has really helped me shift my worldview, if you will.
I would say another thing, I'm talking to different people that have experienced sea trips like that, the giving nature of the people that you're coming there to serve and welcoming everyone is just something that's left an impact on that. Talk about that and kind of, you're there to serve, but they're there pouring into you almost.
Absolutely.
Too, as host.
Yeah. So we spent a couple days, and they're called the Bates, which is basically like a rougher area of the Dominican Republic. It gets not well off at all. They struggle. So we're driving in on the bus after a 5-hour drive. No way. I mean, it's exhausting. And then you roll up, and within seconds, there's kids banging on the bus, smiling, bigger than I've smiled in my entire life, ready to play. And you know that they don't really know where their next meal may be coming from, but they have a bigger smile on their face than you've ever had. And I just think, boom, perspective right there.
Yeah. And then sport as a communicator across cultures, across languages, across ages. What did you learn about how sport can bring people together?
Yeah, well, I guess I'll just continue down what I was saying before, but after we had gotten off the bus, took 10 minutes for a game of soccer to be started in the back of the church.
Yeah.
And from then on, you look up and you realize you've been playing for 2 hours and you're exhausted and it's time for dinner. And I think just sports does that. And it's one of the main things, I think, why I love the Sea Trip so much, is being able to impact through sport.
How do you, obviously you're finishing up this semester and then you got a year to go. Has it sunk in yet? You have 1 year at Hope left, and kind of what does a senior year look like as you prepare to graduate and go out into the world?
Yeah, I think it always starts to hit a little bit every year after you come back from spring break. I think I felt it a little bit after my freshman year.
Yeah.
Maybe not as much last year, and then this year it's like, wow, like 4 years are flying in front of my eyes, but it's a good sign. And as far as senior year goes, I would just say, I'm pretty ahead in class-wise, so I'm not too worried about that. But looking for some GA jobs maybe to go coach and go to grad school is definitely an intrigue of mine, or just continuing to look for jobs, pour into others, and go win more championships is what I'd say is on my docket.
I say you brought up Jaleel, and I know there are other coaches from this coaching, student coaches that have gone on. I think of Carter Collins, head coach
absolutely.
Down at Anderson, and others. There's a large coaching tree, coaching tree. What kind of inspiration did that give? Seeing people, you talked about in the business side of things, seeing people that have actually done it, and then seeing people that you have that connection and know that can go out and be successful and have successful coaching careers.
Yeah, it just kind of goes back to the impact Hope has on so many people, and willing to push the limits. I think, like I talked about Jaleel, and I didn't even know Carter Collins was a graduate assistant here until a couple of years ago, when he's like, oh yeah, he was here under Mitch for a couple of hours. I'm like, wow, there's a lot of people that have done a lot of big time things, and I think that Hope logo is a big reason why. But yeah, guys like that are pretty impactful. So.
And obviously, now 3 years or 4 years, or maybe a junior out there, you were in that deciding mode. What advice would you give someone that they're looking to coming to Hope, maybe a freshman this year? What do they need to do? There are so many choices, so many people, but a lot of cool things. What advice would you give, knowing what you know now, maybe even to yourself, to say, okay, how do I get the most out of my time here at home?
Yeah, I would say to start, and even I think I can do a better job of this even now, is build your circle, grow, step out of your comfort zone, meet new people. You don't understand until you're talking to somebody random in your class, and then a couple weeks from now they're one of your best friends for 4 years. Stuff like that, I think, just pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, which isn't always easy, and taking advantage of all the resources here. I think, look around. I mean, we have the best facilities if you're an athlete. We have some of the best professors anywhere, and they want to be here. And I think that says a lot about Hope. And just being able to understand that you're in a place where people want you to succeed. It's all about whether or not you just want to put yourself out there and do what it takes. And it doesn't take a lot to get started. So.
Awesome. Well, this time has flown by as well, Nick. I appreciate you talking with me on the Hope Athletics Orange and Blue podcast, and I'm already looking forward to next basketball season too with the Flying Dutchmen. So thanks for joining us today, Nick.
Absolutely. Thank you, Alan.